What's going on, guys? Well, I said that I would revisit this topic with Diddy towards the end of the trial, and apparently we may have an end to it or close to it, because apparently as of maybe 10 minutes ago, Sean Diddy Combs was acquitted of most of the serious charges, especially the RICO charge. And I think he was only guilty of 2 counts of the 5 counts, which were the lesser of them, right? Which I think a lot of sane people who had common sense knew that those are probably going to be mainly the only charges that he was going to be convicted of. I want y'all to understand something. I'm very indifferent. I didn't care either way. I didn't. In this, I know Diddy has been accused of a lot of things. I know Diddy has a very horrible reputation, not only with his label, with the people he's dealt with. We've heard all the stories. You've heard all the stories. So I was indifferent, but I tracked the case in the trial. I didn't make videos on it, didn't need to. And looking at everything that was being presented, I didn't see how he was going to be convicted of RICO or the more serious charges. Prostitution, yeah, because he was paying men to have relations with his girlfriend. You know, a lot of men. This dude was paying a lot of male workers to have relations with his girlfriend, which is outrageously disgusting. I just got to be real. It's disgusting. Okay, you paying these men to have relations with your girlfriend, a woman that you claim that you loved, right? You were willing to almost take somebody's life for it, right? Especially with the Kid Cudi situation. You know, they brought all those character witnesses, and I think the jury says, you know what? Yeah, this dude out here buying box. Oh, well, not box, but he wasn't buying box, but he was buying something else. But yeah, he definitely did that. So we're gonna say he did that. But these other charges, the case was weak. It was weak. So let's get into this. This according to WVTM 13. It says Sean Diddy Combs was convicted of prostitution-related offense, but acquitted Wednesday of trafficking and racketeering charges that could have put one of hip-hop's most celebrated figures behind bars for life. The mixed results came on the 3rd day of deliberations. It could still send Combs to prison for as long as a decade and is likely to end his career as a hit-making music executive, fashion entrepreneur, and brand ambassador and reality TV star. You sure about that? Because I've seen people do crazy, horrendous things and the public still welcomes them with open arms. So you never know. Combs was convicted of flying people around the country, including his girlfriends, and paid male sex workers to engage in encounters, a felony violation of the Federal Mann Act. But the jury of 8 men and 4 women acquitted Combs of racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking charges related to allegations that he used his money, power, and frightening physical force to manipulate his girlfriends into hundreds of drug-fueled sex marathons with the men. Combs and his defense team argued that the women were willing participants and that none of his violence justified the severity of the charges. And I believe that the jury agreed. I think the jury agreed. They agreed. I think they felt like the women were willing participants and they weren't forced to do it. And that's why they did not find him guilty of those tougher charges. Let's see. I think that's it. Is that it? Yeah. But things are still evolving. Diddy is still going to have the sentencing phase. I think he's still trying to get released. I don't know if the judge is going to release him. I don't know, because again, this trial, as y'all seen from the article, could have put him in prison for a very long time. Could have put him in prison for a very long time. But he was able to avoid that. He was able to avoid that. Now, I don't know now, I will tell you this, though. If he is allowed to go home, I think there's a possibility that he could get a very light sentence, as light as time served. I've seen people get manslaughter charges when they took somebody's life, and they get less than 5 years for manslaughter. Get 5 years taking somebody's life. So for these charges that he did get found guilty of, he's not going to serve the maximum. I don't believe that. Now, he could either get time served and be allowed to leave, or he could sit in jail for another 2 years or so. Now let's get into some more details. According to NBC News, it says Sean Diddy Combs was acquitted of racketeering and trafficking charges Wednesday, was found guilty of 2 lesser charges of transportation of former girlfriends for prostitution. The verdict is seen as a victory for Combs, who was cleared of the most serious charges against him. His defense team opted not to call witnesses before arresting. Combs has denied the allegations against him. The live briefing may include graphic details. It's going to details of what's going on. As you can see, the prosecution asked for Combs to remain in custody. Defense team wants him to be released. I will say this, though: if the judge releases him, that is a good sign for him. If the judge does decide to release him, that is a sign that, he is going to probably get out if they release him, because they don't see him as a flight risk, or the judge is not really going to hand down any severe punishment. They could just keep him locked up. Diddy isn't found innocent. He was just found guilty of 2 counts. There's no innocent here. There's just a situation where the jury decided that there just wasn't enough evidence to put him behind bars for an extended amount of time. There was no unanimous guilty. It seemed like the jury probably had a lot of questions. They tried to make it seem like it was one juror who had a question about the racketeering, because I think racketeering used to meant going after the mob, going after gangs. And now they want to use a RICO charge against one man. Like he wasn't running a criminal organization. He was just a sexual deviant, But so he was found guilty of 2 of the lesser charges. But like I said, it'll be a good sign for him if he's allowed to leave. And it could that'll show he'll get time served. I don't see him getting out early. I don't, because he was found guilty of 2 counts of this 5 count. And so we'll just have to see. But I think Diddy is incredibly lucky, because people were picking apart his defense team, saying they were doing a poor job. That's what people were saying. I was like, what are y'all talking about? His team has been hanging in there the whole way. Diddy's defense team has been hanging in there the whole way. And what the prosecution did for the majority of the case was bring in character witnesses. Character witness after character witness, talking about his deviant behavior, his abusive behavior. We can't take that out, because Diddy has a reputation for beating up on the women that he's with. The only woman that he's been with that he hasn't beaten up is Young Miami, that we know of, right? But it was just more so, I think the jury just said, okay, if this is the strategy, we have to go back to basics. We got to look at the evidence. Is this guy guilty of RICO and these serious charges? And they basically said no. They said no. But we'll see. I will probably go live on this topic on my Jaye Black live streams channel. Link is in the description box. Make sure y'all like this video and share. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think, man. This case is pretty much over, and I'm glad. Okay, I'm glad that this case is almost over. Okay, let me know what y'all think. I'll see y'all next one. Y'all take care.